Good morning, change makers. Welcome once again to today's session of the Africa's SDGs mentorship program, the development stage. Congratulations once again. I would go through the usual do's and don'ts. Kindly rename your profiles to your name and your country or location. Then please make sure you're on mute at all times to make sure this is a well-regulated program and session. And please, if you're going to turn on your camera, please be decent. Thank you very much. So before we go into today's session, I would like to take a few feedbacks from ourselves here. I got a few messages about people who want to share their feedbacks, and this is the perfect time to do that. So if you would like to give feedbacks about your experience about the program or what you would love to see, or anything at all, kindly signify, and I would unmute you so we can get on with the session. Okay, let's have Mr. Prince from Nigeria, Prince Young from Nigeria. Okay.
Hi.
You cannot. Okay.
Good morning. Hello, Adensin. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. I just want to share about our last training last Saturday. It was amazing. It was like the first time I have listened to the topic of leadership. I mean, Dr. Olukemi was amazing. I took a lot of important points from that teaching, and it has actually helped me. I sat back and I reflected on my leadership skills and my leadership qualities, and I discovered the areas that I was lacking. For example, when she said that leadership is not controlling but persuading. And I think I have had a little issue with persuasion. I really don't like I really don't like to persuade, you know. But when she mentioned that, I was like, what? So I really need to see how to do this, because I think if you're actually not persuading, then you are trying to control people. So I want to. In fact, I'm already applying that to my leadership skills, and it was amazing for me. Everything was great. And a leader is a person that knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That was like the first time I got this definition in this way. Even though I have heard it once or twice, but it really stuck to me. That as a leader, you must first have a competence, you must have capacity, and you must have character. So it was amazing for me. That's just what I wanted to share with us. Thank you very much.
Amazing feedback. Thank you so much for that. That was really amazing. Well done. Well done. So I would be so let's take Tasil Mustafa. Okay, please hold on while I ask you to unmute. Yes, Tasil Mustafa, please go ahead. Kindly unmute yourself. Okay. Is Mustafa on the call? Wow. Can I get any ladies on this feedback poll? Because we're always talking about equality, and I'm wondering why the ladies are silent, because I can see your beautiful faces. I can see the beautiful faces I know there are ladies on this call, so please, can we have a few ladies? We want to hear your voice. We want to see you. And yes, please, 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 kindly signify so I can unmute you. And let's be the first act of change, you know. Okay, some people are on transit. Can we have any other people? But if we open WhatsApp group, everybody will start talking. Everybody will start talking. Okay, let me check the chat. I think there are a few people commenting. Zambia, Rita, can you please raise up your hand, Zambia, so I can spotlight you? Zambia, Rita. Can you raise your hand, please? Okay, Zambia, seen you. Okay, so you can unmute now.
Hi, everyone. So I'll give my background. Like we had a marathon here, so it's a bit noisy.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to say something as well. So for me, my feedback is I've really learned a lot from the first stage, the foundation stage, and even the session for last week, where we're talking about leadership. So being a person who's leading a few people, I've really learned a lot on how I can improve in my leadership, in the way I lead the people. So I've learned that as a leader, you have to get things done. As a leader, you don't have to control people just like the first speaker said, but rather you have to engage the team. You have to make sure that you're moving together. Also, it's very important to get ideas from the team members and you work together. So for me, I'm really learning a lot. Thank you for organizing this training. It's really helping me in so many ways. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you so much for that. It's amazing listening to a lady's voice for a change. Okay, so let us have Chinazo from Abuja, Nigeria. Chinazo, can we have you, please?
Hello. Sorry,
Hello.
My camera is turned off.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I've learned so much in this. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I've learned so much in this our training. Last week I used the Zoom app, the YouTube to join, but the mother spoke to all Mrs. Olakemi, when she talked about planning, executing, decision-making, and delegating. When it comes to decision-making, there's a time that I find it difficult to stand on a decision, but she simplified it and said that when you bring out the procedures, the ways that you want to do things, and you follow it step by step, when you read decision, you won't find it very hard. And some of the roles, you cannot take roles to yourself. You have to delegate it to people. See, you will do this, you will do that, you will do the other. And now I am finding it very easy because when I apportion things for those in my team where I work to do, we see that we do it more effectively and easily. We find it very easy to do. So I had to put it in what I was doing last week, and it worked out very well. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Amazing. I'm so happy to hear that we are already implementing and executing everything we've learned. That is amazing. Well done, Chinazo. Well done. So I'm going to have, so is this Chioma Arrow? Please pardon me. Chioma, can we please have you?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi. I'm so glad to be part of this program. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm so glad to be part of this program. It's been inspiring, it's been encouraging. Some of the things, most of the things we've been learning, especially the one of last week, I have put it into practice. I work as a lecturer at the University of Nigeria, where I work with students, and we've been trying out some experiments. So the talk on leadership really helped us because I got really involved in the work, and it wasn't just about giving orders anymore. It was about taking the lead, doing it so that they can see how it's being done. And then you find out that it's more effective that way. They feel encouraged. They feel that they can do it because they see you doing it. So I want to really thank the organizers of this program, and I'm really impressed. The quality of the people that have come to talk to us, people that have come to teach us, is top notch. I think it's the best we can get at this time. And I'm really grateful to God for the opportunity. So well done, guys. Well done.
Thank you so much for that, Chioma. Really appreciate your feedback. That means a lot to us. And yes, I think I saw Larona Lekage from Botswana. I think I saw your hand up earlier.
Hi, yes, my hand was up. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to just talk. I just wanted to say the session have been very informative. I was a bit skeptical with a big group about how effective the program would be, but I've seen since the sessions and also the groupings, the activities we're able to do and learn from, and it's been very helpful. I've been happy with my group that I've been put in. They're very active. We're sharing skills. And we can't wait to do our workshop very soon. And yes, I'm very thankful for the support, and I can't wait to learn more.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Laruna. That was amazing. And I'm so happy to hear that activities are going on in the WhatsApp groups. So that's the purpose of putting you together in smaller clusters so you can interact in a more close range, right? To hear each other's voices, to interact and work together. So that is amazing. It's so nice hearing that. So let's have God's Will from Nigeria. Can you please unmute?
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is God's Will. I'm an agricultural economist and an SDG advocate. So so far so good. It's been really engaging. I've been able to network with that with sea of quality ideas. In our WhatsApp group also, we've been able to properly coordinate and come up with a topic. What last session was actually the most interesting. I thought the topic of leadership is a regular one. It's something we are used to, but the facilitator gave me a different perspective about leadership. Made the topic very much more understandable and relatable too. So I want to appreciate the team, IDEF, and every other participant, and I'm hoping to learn more. Thank you
so much, Godswill, for that feedback. Thank you so much. That was really enlightening. Thank you for also thanking us. So, Emmanuel, yes, don't worry. We'll try to get that across to everybody as soon as we can. Thank you. I think that will be all for the feedback session. Okay, so let me take Chinelo. So Chinelo from Nigeria. So this will be the last feedback we're taking for today. All right, so yes, you can speak now. Unmute, please.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. The training so far has been really enlightening. I must confess that I've learned a lot, right from the development stage up to this stage that we are in currently. And also for last week's teaching, Doctor really did a good job on leadership and innovation. I thought I knew it all about leadership, but I got to know that what I knew was actually wrong. Okay, I learned the need for collaboration as a leader as a leader, it's expected that you collaborate with people you are working with. Before now, I usually think when I do things alone, I do it fast. I don't need to stress people, trying to work with people and the likes. But I got to understand that the place of collaboration makes the work easier, and you get to learn from other people. You get to learn ideas from other people, and aside that, it even makes the job more fun. Working with people, you learn from them. It's actually interesting. So I really want to say thank you to Doctor and to the team, IDEF team, for this platform to learn, to unlearn, and to keep learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chinelo. I'm so happy to hear that, your experience, and it's amazing to hear all the feedbacks. Even I myself has learned a lot from the past programs, and I'm looking forward to the subsecutive programs too, right? So I'm going to be introducing our project director. He's going to take a few moments to address us, Mr. Emmanuel. Are you on the call, sir?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And let me say good afternoon to some other people from other African countries. It's so good to hear this wonderful and amazing feedbacks. Yeah, these are things which keeps us going, and we have to keep building over and over. And I want to encourage each and everyone on this call, if you know your team member that is currently not on this call yet, tell him or her to join as soon as possible so that they won't miss out of today's session. And I was so glad that many people can refer back to the session they had last week and how impactful it was. And I can say that you've not even grasped all the information, all the teachings for that day. So it's very important for you to go back to that video, watch it again, and if it's possible, you can download it. You can download it as an MP3 or MP4 or whatever, whichever way you want to download it. Listen to it over and over again. These are things that shaping your leadership prospect, and you get to become more better and more stronger. And I want to also appreciate the leadership of ADEV Africa for this great opportunity being given to each and everyone. Yeah, it's a learning curve, and it's also a growth opportunity for each and every one of us. For those who, someone requested that if they can have the document for last session, there is a back-end folder which you can always get those resources. That's development phase resource link. I believe we all have access to that. That was shared with us during the first week of the first week you resumed for the development phase. We commenced development phase. However, the communication officer will also share that with you again this morning. Before the end of the day, they are going to share that with you, so you can get the resource, the material from Dr. Oluwakemi, and you can get to study on it over and over again. So I just have a few minutes to quickly address one or two things that's in line to the program which we are currently doing, and some activities which are being delegated to each and every one of us. Based on the responses which we've gotten, I want to confirm if there is anyone on this call currently that do not have a group or that do not belong to a group. Kindly signify. Maybe you've not been able to join your group, or you've not been able to, or you don't have a SDG group yet, or maybe you are the only one on your SDG group. Okay, I can see Chinazo and Hop. And OS, is there anybody like that? Chinazo, what's your condition? Would like to know what exactly this is.
Okay. I've tried to join the WhatsApp group, but it's not connecting. They will tell me download WhatsApp. I already have WhatsApp. When I click on WhatsApp, it won't join.
Which group are you tending to join?
4. Quality education.
Quality education. So,
yes.
Okay, what we are going to do is please send your name and the group which you want to join. Send it to the general platform for the development phase.
Okay.
The manager is going to add you. They are going to add you directly there. So I also want to confirm, is there any other person like that of such similar situation? You've not been able to join the WhatsApp group? Or for those who are on YouTube, if you are on YouTube and you're unable to join the WhatsApp group, I mean your group which you are meant to network and work with, and if there is anybody like that, you can just send your full name, the group you are meant to join, you want to join, then the program managers are going to pick it up from there and add you to it. Then secondly, I would like to confirm if there is any group that are yet to appoint their team leader. If you're a team leader on this call, please kindly raise your hand. We want to be very sure we all have our team leads as we speak. If you're a team leader, kindly raise your hand. Kindly raise your hand. If you're a team leader, it must be 17. Do simply as many times as we have those names, those people raising their hands. So can you quickly do something to make it faster? We don't want you to start introducing yourself. You can just put 1, 2, 3 in front of your name. We want to capture each and every group so that it's more easy. In front of your name, I can see Uganda, Bagiriwa. You can just put 1 or maybe just put 1 in front of your name. That will make it more easy to capture. So we want to know the teams that do not have a leader yet. And if there is any issue, maybe appointing a leader or you don't have anybody coming up to be a leader. I can only see 5 hands up. Is it that we don't have all the leaders represented on this call? I can only see 5 hands up. Okay, maybe I should just call them one by one. Uganda, Bagriwa, which group are you representing? Hello, Bagriwa, which group are you representing?
It is SDG-13, climate action.
Okay, climate action, we have 13. All right, thank you. Prince, which group are you representing? Okay, I can see Rachel. Rachel said 5. Thank you, Rachel. Prince, which group are you representing? Obi, which group are you representing? Prince, you can unmute your mic, please. Let's make it fast. I just have a few minutes more to do this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm representing SDG4.
SDG4. Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, Onyeka, which group are you representing?
I'm representing SDG9.
SDG9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. Okay. All right. Winfred, which group are you representing?
Okay. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm representing SDG2, Zero Hunger.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So can we have Mustafa? Mustafa, which group are you representing, please? Kindly unmute your mic. Mustafa.
Hello, sir.
Okay, which team are you representing?
I'm representing Group 4, but I'm not the actual leader have been nominated.
Okay, we already have someone that I mentioned is a group leader for...
Leads the group. I'm trying my best to look. We have already selected or nominated our group leaders.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we want, okay, I can see Alim hand up now. I can see more hand up. Those of us that have spoken, please, you can drop your hand. I need to know those who are just, maybe use Alim, kindly unmute your mic. Which group are you representing?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
We are not yet to appoint the Group 7 leader. I'm just representing Group 7 member here.
So is there anything delaying that?
Yes, the selection is still in progress.
So you were meant to do that before today's session. So, okay, I will address that. That's fine, but I've noted it. And thank you for representing and speaking on behalf of your team. That shows good leadership. Even though you are not the leader or appointed leader, you were able to represent. Thank you very much. So, okay. Can I have Clifford? Clifford, which team are you representing? Clifford, you can unmute your mic and speak, please. Hello, Clifford, if you are there, or who else wants to speak? Okay, Isaac wants to say something. Isaac, you were saying something. Please unmute your mic. I would like to confirm. I just have 6 groups confirmed now. Isaac, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Okay, my name is Isaac from Uganda, and I'm representing SDG3.
Okay, SDG3. All right, thank you. All right, Jeremiah, I need to know which group are you representing, Jeremiah Udo?
Good morning, Jeremiah Udo. I'm representing SDG and settlements.
Sorry, come again, Jeremiah. Which group did you say you represent?
I represent 11, SDG 11.
Okay, sustainable cities and communities. All right,
sustainable and resilient. Yes, I'm the assistant leader of the group. We did the election yesterday.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Can we have Oluwatosin? Oluwatosin, can you unmute your mic? Which group are you representing this?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, this morning.
It's Akobe Oluwatosin Daniel speaking. Representing Group 11, I'm the team lead. My assistant just introduced himself some seconds ago.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So I'm going to say this, and it's very important for each and everyone on this call, and those of us on YouTube as well. You have to present your team lead before the end of today. It's very, very important and it's part of your criteria to move into the next phase, because for the month of September, there is an activity that has been scheduled for the month of September, which is the workshop series from each group. And before the end of today as well, a calendar link is going to be shared with you, and that's the team leads for you to book the time, to book the dates which you want to have your workshop. And you are to book that between the next 48 hours, because once it's 48 hours, the link is going to be expired. So once you book your time, the time you book, it's going to schedule for 2 hours, let's say, but your workshop is not meant to be more than 1 hour, 30 minutes. And once you book a time, take for example, you are booking 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Saturday, next week Saturday, that time becomes unavailable for any other group. And it becomes available to you only. But please ensure you keep to that time. And the Zoom platform you're going to have your sessions on the Zoom platform. And yes, you are going to have your sessions on the Zoom platform. Then a template is going to be shared with you for your promotion flyers. And definitely it's been mentioned that you are also going to be the speakers for those sessions, and definitely the topics which you are proposing is going to be reviewed. Based on what we have, we only have 2 teams that have submitted their proposal. Please, I want to applaud those 2 teams. We have 2 groups that I want to check. I know that we have 2 teams currently that have submitted their proposal, and that's team 12, that's responsible consumption and production, and also team 4. Good work. And for all other teams, we believe that you are working effectively towards that. Please try as much as possible to get that done before the end of the month. And like I earlier mentioned, once the calendar link is already shared, it's just for you to check the time you want to have your webinar, your workshop, then you book that. So those are the basic information I want to share. And if there is anybody that is having issues joining your specific or team of interest, kindly notify on the general platform so that the program managers can sort that out on your behalf. Then I quickly want to address something. We have our speaker on the call, and we won't like to keep him waiting too long. But if there are other concerns, these will be reviewed after the Q&A session, or maybe we are going to review that on the community platform. Please, for those of us that are filling the form, when they ask for a team, the team has to relate to the topic of your workshop. So you have to structure that. Your team is speaking on the topic of your workshop. So it has to be well defined, and the impact and the audience, everything has to be well defined there. So I would just like to hand over to Dunsi, and while she introduces our speaker for today, then we run the session. Oluwadunsi, over to you, please. She on the call? I think she's not on the call currently. Hello, Oluwadunsi, are you there? Okay, all right. I think I can just do that on her behalf while she joins back shortly. It seems she's currently not on the call. Okay, thank you once again, and we are glad to have each and every one. So this morning, we are going to be moving to the advanced training, and this has been our culture to get to build and develop towards accelerating sustainable development in Africa. And we are so glad to have each and every one of you representing and hoping to achieve these global goals. This morning, we have an industry leader who is a mentor to many and is a blessing to Africa at large. And we are so glad to celebrate our wonderful speaker in person of Mr. Oluwagbenga. And this morning, I'm going to be reading his profile, and shortly why he comes up to lead to this session of the African Mentor SDG Mentorship Program. Oluwagbenga Ogunbowale, a visionary, social entrepreneur, passionate philanthropist, and influential thought leader. As a leadership in business, business school of management alumni, and co-founder and CEO of Grantmaster, Oluwagbenga is transforming the funding landscape for ambitious organizations in need of debt-free and equity-free financing. As the founder of Africa's largest orphanage outreach coalition, the Orphan Empowerment Society is making a tangible difference in the lives of vulnerable children across the continent, with nearly 25,000 orphans are empowered across African countries through free vocational skill, medical care, and food. TOR is at the forefront of ending orphan poverty in Africa. In all of that it does, Oluwagbenga is a true embodiment of the spirit of entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and leadership. He is a true inspiration to all those who aspire to make positive impact in the world. And this morning, we are so blessed to have Mr. Oluwagbenga Ogunbowale in our midst this morning. Thank you for joining us, and we sincerely appreciate your presence this morning. Good morning, Mr. Oluwagbenga.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing?
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are doing very great.
Fantastic. I'm really excited to be here. And I hope that you can all hear me, everybody.
Yes, perfectly.
Fantastic. Okay, so my job this morning is simple. And I'm going to be sharing with you how to win grant proposals, all right? So I'm going to be sharing an 11-point manifesto on how to win grant proposals. And, I can see some of us have our video on, that's really good. It's good to know that I'm not alone. Now, I always like to be sure, that everybody's following, right? So we're going to do this together. It's going to be a brief session, but I believe that this is going to be a very useful session for you. So if you're absolutely ready to learn how to write winning grant proposals, I want you to go to the chat box, right? And I want you to type ready. R-E-A-D-Y. So let's go. Let's raise up the energy in this room. Let's raise up the tempo. Let's go. Okay, how many people are ready? Okay, Abiodun is ready. Chinelo is ready. Jetalyn is ready. Tony is ready. Emily is ready. Yeah. Wow, I love this. I love the energy. This is good. This is really, really good. I love the energy in the room. This is really, really good. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, I believe you can see my slides now. Yes, so share my screen now. 11-point manifesto on how to write winning grant proposals. And of course, we must stay on time. So I'm just going to open my stopwatch. Yes, let's go. All right. Now, I'm making some basic assumptions here. I'm making assumptions that you already know what a grant proposal is. You already know what the purpose of a grant proposal is, right? So those are some of the basic assumptions that I'm making. Okay, all right. So essentially, I'm just going to go right into it. Now, for the sake of some people on the call that may not be very familiar with the purpose of a grant, like very quickly, a grant is essentially funding that you're given to execute a project. That's a grant, right? So think about what happens in rural communities where maybe in a particular community, they don't have funds for, let's say they don't have funds for, they don't even have water. Let's use water. I think water is a very simple example we can get. So maybe there's a rural community, they don't have water. And then an NGO goes to that community to say, hey, we can, help you guys get water. And then that NGO goes ahead to mobilize funds, resources. And then that NGO uses those funds to then provide water for that community, right? That's essentially grant funding, in display, in full force. And think about it. I don't know about your country, but in Nigeria here, for example, even the federal government, and in a lot of countries, actually, the federal government gets grants, right? So vaccination is free for children, but is it really free? Somebody is paying for it, right? So sometimes it's maybe the Ministry of Health who probably got funding from maybe Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? So at various levels of governments, you have grant funding. At various levels of organizations, you have grant funding. So the question is, who can win grant funding? Organizations can win grant funding. Businesses can win grant funding. NGOs especially can win grant funding. And to a lesser extent, individuals can win grant funding. Yes. And so my goal this morning is to teach you how you can write winning grant proposals. Now, if you have a pen and a paper, I'd advise you to grab it because we're going to have some examples. This is going to be a practical session. It's going to be short, but it's going to be very practical. So 11-point manifesto. Let's get started. The first point is clarity and simplicity. Clarity and simplicity. Now, when I say clarity, what do I mean exactly? When you see a question, for example, you see a question of what is the problem you're trying to solve, and I'm going to be typing in the chat box, so that you can follow. I'm going to. Daniel is asking if you can get the slides. I will send the slides to the organizer so the organizer can share with all of you. Not a problem. Happy to share the slides. So back to point number one. So let's say you come across a question that goes something like this. What is the problem you are trying to solve, right? This is the question you've been asked. A very complicated way to answer this question is to start talking about, how you grew up very, very poor, and then, people around you are poor, and poverty is a disease, poverty is a crime, birds are not crying like birds, let the poor breathe. And you're just saying a bunch of irrelevant things. What is the problem you're trying to solve, right? If the problem you're trying to solve is unemployment, then you have to double down on unemployment. You have to talk about, for example, the high unemployment rate in Nigeria, 33.3% youth unemployment, the fact that unemployment is a ticking time bomb, right? You can use quotable quotes to buttress your point, right? Maybe even tell a story, right? Let me give you an example, right? So maybe in that your area, right? Instead of being scatterbrained and all over the place, you can tell the story of Abdul, right? Abdul grew up poor, lost his parents at age, 5 and all of that, had nobody to turn to. Abdul, tried to get a job, despite the digital education, tried to get a job. He couldn't get a job. And then he joined, a gang, became a criminal, blah, 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 right? So what are you trying to say? You're trying to explain the fact that when people run out of options, when young people run out of options, crime becomes an option, right? that bad life becomes an option. And so instead of you just rambling and talking about, and just expressing your anger and talking about, our unemployment is bad, bring it all together. Make it simple. It should be clear. Your point should be clear and it should be simple. Also, you want to avoid using like big words. Like, so there's this, we used to have this politician in Nigeria. He's still a politician, but he's not in office now. So he used to be in office. His name is Patrick Obiangbo. And when Patrick Obiangbo speaks, you need a dictionary, like Oxford or Merriam-Webster dictionary, to understand what he's saying, right? So that should not be you. If you want to write winning grant proposals, you need to be clear and you need to use simple English, clarity and simplicity, Is somebody learning something? Is somebody learning something? I would like you to go to the chat box right now. I want to be sure that you're learning something. This is just point one. Are you learning? Very quickly. Yes. If you're not learning, by all means, please type no. By all means, right? By all means, right? I'm here for the feedback. Point number 2, coherence and flow. Now, I know we're talking about grants, but I know some of you probably want to apply for like Mandela Washington Fellowship, or probably you have some fellowships or maybe some opportunities, or even if it's a job you want to apply for, whatever it is you want to apply for. Coherence and flow is key, not just in grant proposals, but in any other kind of writing. So when I say coherence and flow, what am I trying to say? Let's go back to the question. I used what is the problem you're trying to solve as an example, right? Now, let's now say question number 2 is, how are you solving this problem? How are you solving this problem, right? Now, let's say in your answer to question number 1, where you were talking about the problem, you talked about unemployment, right? You mentioned high unemployment rate, you even told an example. Now you get to point number 2, how are you solving this problem? And then you start talking about another problem. So let me give you an example. You then get to point number 2 and you say, so the way we are solving this problem is that we are making generators and we are selling generating sets, right? And how we are selling generating sets is we are generating revenue. If you tie generating sets to providing jobs, that can work. But if you talk about generating sets just for the sake of generating income, that's not going to work, right? Let me give you another example. That one is even still close. So we talked about unemployment being the problem, but then you get to the solution and then you start talking about, let me see, an unrelated problem. Then you start talking about teenage pregnancy. Point number 1, you talked about unemployment, the problem you're trying to solve. Point number 2, you then start talking about teenage pregnancy. So the way we are solving teenage pregnancy is that, we are going to train girls, we're going to have mentorship sessions. You're not going to win that grant. Impossible. Why? Because you're scatterbrained. There has to be coherence. When you're applying for opportunities, especially grants, they expect that you stay consistent with what you're talking about, right? There has to be coherence. You can't just go from talking about unemployment to start talking about teenage pregnancy. Those are 2 different things, 2 completely different things, right? So there has to be coherence. And now that flow should be evident in the other points that you talk about in all your other answers, right? So think about grant proposal writing as like a story. Every single question that you're answering, has to flow from question 1 to question 2 to question 3. There has to be a flow, right? That's point number 2, coherence and flow. Point number 3 is deep understanding of the problem, right? Deep understanding of the problem. Now, I want to be sure that you're following and that we're together. So I want you to go to the comment section right now and I want you to type deep. Let me see the people that are following. Fantastic. I like this. Okay. This is really good to know. It's good to know. And we're also doing very well. Sticking to time. This is fantastic. I love the energy, in the chat box. I love the energy. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about a deep understanding of the problem, you can have a shallow understanding of the problem. That's the thing that you can have. What do you mean by shallow understanding of the problem? That is when, you do not show that you truly understand what you're talking about. Let me give us an example. I want you to go to the chat box right now and I want you to share with us the biggest problem in your community. In your community right now, what is the biggest problem that you're facing? in your community? What is the biggest problem that you're facing, right? In my community, there are several problems, right? But energy poverty, lack of power supply, right, is a big problem, right? I mean, I think there's light now, but probably in a few minutes, I'll probably run on my inverter. So yeah, power supply is a problem in my community. What is the biggest problem in your community? Okay, I see some people saying unemployment, hunger, post-harvest losses, unemployment, SAPA. Gumbi, what is SAPA? You better be serious. Gumbi, if I catch you, you better be serious. I will pull your hair on this call. All right. Jetlin, poor waste management. Okay, Kenya, hunger. That's Brenda. Hunger. Zambia, poverty. Okay, Rita, sorry. Rita, poverty. Jackson, water scarcity. John, pure poverty. Rabi, environmental sanitation. Yaya, hunger. Now, let's just pick any of those problems, right? So let's pick poor waste management. Naji, you're in luck. Let's pick poor waste management. How can you show a deep understanding of the problem, right? Poor waste management, how can you show a deep understanding of the problem? The way you can show it is, first of all, to talk about specific communities, right? Talk about specific communities. If you just talk about how waste management is a problem across Nigeria, you won't really hit the point home, because your grant proposal, you're not looking for funding to change the whole of Nigeria or to change the whole of Ghana or Kenya or your country, right? Even World Bank with all their money, they don't solve all the problems in the world, right? So please, let's first of all, can we just stop being delusional about how we want to use one grant funding to then solve all the problems in our country? Can we just stop being delusional? So one way to show a deep understanding of the problem is to just focus on a particular community or a specific community or city, and then do a deep dive. For example, I can talk about the fact that, in Ibadan, which is the city where I'm in, right? Several communities don't even have up to 5 hours of power supply in a day. In a day. There are communities that are not even connected to the national grid. They've not had power. And that would be a very good community to talk, to use as your case study, right? Imagine, let's give the community a name, say Okokomaiko community. So Okokomaiko community in Ibadan has never had a single minute of power supply. Why? Because Okokomaiko community has not been connected to the grid since 1960. The kids grow up in darkness, the elders have only known darkness, and you can then plug in, the name of your NGO and say, this is why I want to change, this thing. You need to show a deep understanding of the problem. A superficial understanding of the problem is when you're not talking about the community, you're not talking about their pains, you're just generalizing and saying, oh, the whole of Nigeria does not have light. Nigeria is in darkness. This is bad. No. That's a very shallow understanding of the problem. If you show a deep understanding of the problem, you'll be able to grab the attention of the reviewer. They're like, this person knows, what he or she is talking about, right? I hope that makes sense. Now let's move on to point number 4. Point number 4 is evidence-based and tailored solutions. Evidence-based and tailored solutions. What does this mean? So let's talk about this issue of, let's stick with lack of power supply for a minute, right? So you can say energy poverty, right? Lack of power supply, right? What would be the solution? Let's use that community, Okokomaiko, community I just came up with in my head, Okokomaiko community, where they've not had power supply for years. They've been living in darkness. What is the best way to solve that problem? One way would be to provide inverters, solar powered inverters. Remember that they're not connected to national grid, right? So you can't say, oh, we're going to do an advocacy campaign and go to the national electricity body, and appeal to them to provide them power. No, that's not going to work. What can work, for example, is solar. But now the issue with solar is that solar powered, solutions are usually, inverters are expensive. They are very expensive. If inverters were cheap, a lot of the people in this community will have bought them. So what can you do? For example, you should be saying mini grids, fantastic. Mini grids are fantastic, right? So you have a mini grid where essentially you are supplying power. You're like a mini, electricity distributor. You're supplying power to those different homes, right? That's one way you can do that. You can also just supply solar panels, directly to those communities. So they don't pay an upfront fee, which is why panels are so expensive and inverters are expensive, but they can be paying a tiny monthly fee to cover up the cost. So the funder, the grant funder, gives you money to buy those heavy, gadgets, heavy equipment, and then you make money from those monthly, payments that you get from, from people that buy from you, right? Does that make sense? The solution has to be tailored to fit the problem. Solution must fit the problem like a glove, right? Like a glove. I hope that makes sense. Moving on to point number 5, relevance and urgency. Now, we're going to take an example here. If you still have your pen on your paper or in your phone, I want you to tell me, you can also type just straight in the group chat. Tell me why the problem you're trying to solve, why it is relevant and urgent in 1 or 2 sentences. Let's go. I'm going to give you 120 seconds. So your time starts now. Just type in the chat box. Once you're done, just submit, and then I'll give you feedback. Ngozi, what is life? What does that mean? Is that a sentence? Is it a question? Right? So in Nigeria, we have a slang, right? When somebody is saying something I don't understand it, you ask the person, share the wine meaning. So Ngozi, I'm telling you that, share the wine meaning, right? So let me apologize in advance. I'm probably going to be very hard on you. My feedback is going to be very, very harsh. It's for your own good, right? It's for your own good. Okay. So Ngozi, I'm looking forward to your revised answer. Ahmad, unemployment leads to more petty crime. Ahmad, you need to support that sentence. You need to support it with probably facts, evidence, right? You need to support it. So it's not enough, right? That's why I said 1 or 2 sentences. So Ahmad, you need another sentence. Justina, quality care to mothers with premature babies is paramount for the outcome. Justina, I don't understand. Is this a sentence? Is it a question? I'm not getting you. Justina, come again. Shehu, hunger leads to morbidities and mortality. Muhammad, okay, morbidity, mortality. Now, Muhammad, what I would advise is next time, just use very simple English, right? Just use very simple English, right? If you want to talk about death, you want to talk about, sickness, illness, disease, use simple English, simple English. I should not need to use Merriam-Webster dictionary to understand what you're saying. Use very simple English. John, pure poverty. Girls are missing out on classes during their menstrual cycle. This is interesting, right? But John, you have not hit the nail on the head. So if girls miss out on classes during their menstrual cycles, what would then happen? Right? Will they drop out of school? Right? Will they have a bleak future? Dramatize it. Don't assume that the reviewer knows the consequence, of the problem that you're talking about. You need to show the reviewer the consequence. Naji, sustainable development cannot be achieved without having a quality education. So Naji, is this a sentence? Is this a question? I'm lost. You're not making a case. Make a strong case. Suleiman, to reduce air pollution. Suleiman, I'm lost. Favor, quality education is the future of the country and its economy. Okay, so let me just pause now. Let me pause. All right. So the way you show relevance and urgency is, first of all, to tie what you're talking about to like a statistic. So let me give you an example. The youth unemployment in Nigeria is about 50%. Unemployment in Nigeria is about 33%. Now, the Nigerian government has revised the calculations, right? So it depends on who you ask right now, right? According to the federal government of Nigeria, unemployment in Nigeria is like less than 4%. Now, that is magical to me, right? But essentially, I will not talk too much about that on this call, right? But the new calculation is very magical to me. But essentially, so let's move away from unemployment, because right now, as far as the Nigerian government is concerned, unemployment is not a problem. So let's move away from unemployment. Let's talk about energy, right? How urgent is it? It is incredibly urgent. How am I going to prove that to you? I can use something called an analogy and make a comparison. So for example, Brazil has a population that is, comparable to Nigeria, right? I can compare the population of Brazil and Nigeria and then show that Brazil generates over I think about 20 times more power than Nigeria, right? That's one way. I can use an analogy. I can tell a story about a community where young kids of primary school age are suffering from asthma, from respiratory diseases, simply because they read with candle night, with kerosene lamps every single night. Imagine you're a reviewer and you're reading the story of a boy that, you know, that died, you know, just because, you know, of fire from a kerosene lamp, or the story of 20 children who are treating asthma right now simply because they use kerosene lamps because they couldn't afford any other thing. That is how you show relevance and urgency. You need to show the consequence. You need to show the consequence. So you may have to tell a story. You may have to use a fact. You may have to use, you know, analogy, right? But you need to show the reviewer, you know, the consequence of inaction, right? You need to show the reviewer why solving this problem cannot wait. Does this make sense? Are you learning something? I want you to go to the chat box right now. If you're learning something, just type yes, 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 yes. Let me see the people that are learning. I want to be sure that, you know, what I'm sharing is making sense to you. And by all means, if you're not learning, please type no, right? If you need me to go by a point or something, by all means, right? Okay, so sorry, just a minute. I'm gonna go back. All right, so we're done with number 5. I see your responses. That's fantastic. Frank, noise. Please, can you all hear me? Is the sound good? Can you all hear me? Frank is talking about noise. Sound is good. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So Frank, maybe you can move, you know, to a quieter place. Next. So point number 6: strong program design and execution plan. Strong program design and execution plan. When you are proposing a project, because grant proposals are always, you know, there's a project that you're proposing, right? You need to design the program in such a way that it makes sense. It makes sense. Let me give an example. Let's say the problem you're trying to solve is that, you know, kids are not coming to school, right? They are skipping classes, right? They're not coming to school. That's a good problem. But then the question is, why are they not coming to school? If the reason they're not coming to school is because, you know, they don't have, you know, they don't have money to eat. And so therefore, the kids are hungry and they will not want to trek, you know, several kilometers to school because, I mean, there's no food at all. So they would rather sleep at home and sleep, you know, with their hungry stomach. If you figured out that the reason why they are skipping classes is because, you know, of poverty and lack of food, what is the smart way to, you know, to tackle this problem? I want you to share your own thoughts on this. If the reason why kids are skipping school is that there's no food at home and there's no food, right? And essentially they don't want to walk several kilometers to school on a hungry stomach, how would you fix that problem? Please type your solution in the chat box right now. How would you fix the problem? Kids are skipping school because they are hungry. Find a way to provide food for the kids. Fantastic. That's one way. A school feeding program. That's one way, right? Food and means of transportation. Fantastic, right? Nutrition program. Fantastic, right? Create a school meal program for the kids. Fantastic. Now, do you know that you can take it a step further and design an empowerment program for the parents? Chinelo, exactly. Because for this kind of program, typically what, you know, is usually done is a school feeding program. You can introduce, you know, another dimension and say, I want to empower the parents, right? Just empower the parents. If, for example, maybe you know that the parents are probably like farmers, the farm population, you can directly empower the parents, right? That's one way to go about it. And I love all of the things that you're talking about. So that's it. The program design, the way you design the program. Let's say it's a school feeding program. The question is, how often are you going to be feeding the kids? Who is going to be feeding the kids? Who is going to be preparing the food? How will you know that the food is good? How will you show that the intervention is working, right? Because I mean, if you give kids food and they eat the food and they run away, you know, from school, then the program is not working, right? So that's program design. And then I just talked on number 7, right? Which is impact assessments, like measurement, right? You cannot manage what you cannot measure. You cannot say you're doing a school feeding program if you cannot show that the school feeding program is working, right? And how do you show it's working? As attendance increased, right? The children, you know, they reduced, you know, fewer visits to the hospital, right? Maybe you have to be able to show tangible outcomes, right? That's number 7. Number 8, experience and credibility. Right? See, one of the reasons why organizations, you know, don't win grant funding is because essentially they don't have the experience and the credibility. Let me give an example. Imagine you're a reviewer and 2 people submit near identical proposals, and they submit a proposal to tackle hunger in the community. Now, one of them studied agriculture and, you know, has 5 years experience in the field of agriculture. The other person studied history, has no experience in agriculture, no experience with any feeding program. Who would you give the money to? It's a no-brainer. You give it to the person that has experience in that field. So therefore, Stop applying for opportunities and for grant proposals that you have no experience and you have no credibility in. You should be applying for grants where you have experience, or where at least somebody on your team has the required experience. Because even if you have a very brilliant idea, but you don't have the experience to show for it, you are not going to win that grant. You can quote me anywhere. Yes, I say Benga said, yes, you're not going to win that grant, right? Okay, let's move to the final set of points. Point number 9, sustainability and future plans. See, funders don't want to keep giving you money forever and ever, right? They want to know that when they give you this grant funding, you'll be able to sustain it, right, over a period of time. They want to know that after they give you this funding, it will not die, right? They will not be giving you money every year, but they want to know how you ensure that the program does not die, right? And so that's about sustainability. And so one of the ways you can, of course, make a project sustainable is look for alternative forms of funding, maybe grant funding, maybe donation, maybe subscription, right? And let me give you an example. I founded an NGO called the Orphan Empowerment Society. And we moved from our model of everybody's welcome to a subscription-based model. Yes, where volunteers pay annual dues. And so essentially, what does that mean? It means, first of all, we have higher quality volunteers. Number 2, it also means we have money in the bank to do projects. We don't have to be running a basket. There's subscription fee. There's money in the bank, right? So if those is applying for maybe grants and stuff, we're going to talk about the fact that we're a subscription-based community. We are sustainable. Do you understand this? When you're applying for grants, show how you bring in money, right? Show how you bring in money. Your grant funders don't want to be funding you every year. You're not the only one who needs help in the world. Your organization is not the only NGO in the world, right? So you have to be able to show how you're sustainable. Number 10, value for money. What is value for money? The simple way to calculate value for money is this, and you might want to write this down, right? The total budget divided by the number of beneficiaries. Let me take that again. Somebody missed that. How do you calculate value for money? Value for money equals total budget, that is total proposed budget, divided by what total number of beneficiaries. So let me break it down. Let's say you're applying for a $20,000 grant, and you may want to press your calculator for this one. A $20,000 grant. Let me press my calculator. I hope you're with me. And you are saying that this project that you're proposing is going to influence or impact 500 people. So $20,000 divided by 500 means that your cost per beneficiary is $40. Can you see my screen? $40. That's your cost per beneficiary. Now, if somebody else is proposing a similar proposal, similar project, similar everything, and they will be able to reach, say, 200 persons, 200 beneficiaries. Sorry, how many people were we trying to reach before? Sorry, just a minute. 20,000 divided by, okay, so 500. So let's say the first, set of people that are able to reach 500 persons, and you are able to reach 1,000 persons with just 20,000, right? So that would reduce the costs. 20,000 divided by 1,000, right? That would reduce the cost to $20 per beneficiary, meaning that your own project is what? More cost effective. Yes, because if you are going to guarantee the same outcomes, for lesser money, who will the reviewer pick? Think about it. It's a no-brainer. The reviewer is going to pick you, right? So value for money. Now, you have to be careful. That is not to say that you should try to do too much. There's something called doing too much, where with $1,000, you want to impact 1,000 people. Like how? Like how? Right? So you need to be reasonable, right? So I don't want you to take the wrong lesson away from this call. I don't want you to say, oh, Benga said, we should show value for money. So you're now applying for a $10,000 grant, but you now want to impact 1 million people with 10. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that you have to do, calculate, right? Your cost should not be so low that it is ridiculous and absurd, but neither should it be so high that the funder is funding, who are we funding exactly? Are we funding your lifestyle, or are we funding the project? There has to be value for money. And then the final point is, and this is the biggest point, right? This point took me several years, to master. This is the point that you're getting for free, right? In fact, after this call, you should begin hot. You should be so hot that, you need to pour water on your head, because this point is massive. Everything is a list. Look at what I'm talking to you about today. I said 11-point manifesto, a list, right? When you want to buy things, right, they will tell you how many. List. If you want to eat food, you're asking, what kind of food do I want to eat? They will say, is it this one? Is it that one? Is it that one? List, right? If, for example, you think about when you were considering, the school to go to when you finish from secondary school, and you're considering, is it this school? Is it that school? Is it that school? And you came up with a list. Is there anything in this life that you don't do without a list? Nothing. Everything is a list. Now, how do we bring this back to grant proposal writing? When you're writing proposals, right, you are better off using lists when you're discussing points instead of just using paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. Why? Because it's going to be easier for the reviewer to see the things you're talking about, right? It's going to be easier for the reviewer to connect with what you're saying, right? To make sense of what you're talking about instead of you using 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, and the reviewer is trying to read in between the lines. But with lists force you to clarify your point. Lists force you to be more coherent, to stay on point, right? And to just, hit the nail on the head. So use more lists. When they talk about, what problem are you solving, right? Talk about the problem. Oh, we're solving, this problem. And these are the reasons why we're solving the problem. Then you give a list, right? How are we solving this problem? We're solving this problem in the following ways. You give a list, right? If the only thing you get from this entire call is everything is a list, I think you've gotten a lot. I've reached your points of mine. I hope I've been able to convince and not confuse you that you too can start writing badass grant proposals and start winning grant funding. Thank you very much.
Wow, can we give the grant master a round of applause in the comment section? Please, a round of applause. I'm so excited. I'm so sorry I wasn't there at the beginning of the session to introduce you, but I'm here now, and this has been a very impactful session. This has been so powerful. Please, I'm not seeing you guys though. We're over 200, right? So please, a round of applause for the grant master himself. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring our request to empower us, to educate us. I mean, these are change makers from all over Africa, and we're always talking about funding, right? We need funds to execute our project, and this is so impactful. Thank you so much, sir. So moving on, we're having the Q&A session, and if you have questions for the Grandmaster, I know people who have questions. If you have questions, please signify, raise up your hand so I can unmute you. And we have Grandmaster here to answer all our questions. Okay, so this is Sunday Omeka. Oh, and before I forget, Grandmaster, we are both in Ibadan, so I'll see you soon in your office. So Sunday Omeka, okay, I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic now. All right, so you can speak now. Omeka, are you there? Sunday. Okay, let's have Heritage.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Hello, good morning.
Sir. Thank you, sir, for the session. Yeah, it was really expository. I just wanted to ask that, there's been fine coming up with because one of the challenge personally I do have with application for grant is that, putting all the thought process together, the experiences, making it is quite challenging. I want to ask, will you advise that we use AI tools now also to help out with that, or we just stick to the organic process of generating our write-ups? Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Gwega, are you still on the call? Oh, please hold on while I check through. Oh, wow. I guess he left the call. Or maybe network threw him out. Please hold on while I will try to reach him. Okay, please hold. Okay, I guess there was a network issue and I've been trying to reach him and he's not here right now. So what I'm going to do is to ask you to write down your questions so you don't forget, and no attendance list.
Okay. Can we have the questions together? I don't see if you can hear me.
Yes, exactly what I was trying to say. Can we please put the questions together? Should I do it individually or send it to WhatsApp group, or there will be an email where
it will be reconnect. It's going to be reconnecting shortly. But please kindly put the questions together. If of us ask a question, you can ask now. Why John's back?
Okay. So that I won't forget, because there's no way I can keep all those questions in my head. You can type out your questions in the comment section. You can type them out so that when it comes back, we will be able to read through them. So before, while that is going on, can we have a few feedback on what you've learned during this session while we have that going on? Can we have a few participants tell us what they have learned from this session? Okay, if your hands are still for the questions, you can lower your hands. You can type them in your questions in the comment section. So I'll be unmuting Baye from Ethiopia, and we're going to listen to what he has to say. So you can unmute yourself.
Hey everyone, how are you? Can you hear me?
Very good. Hello.
Yeah, this is Fukaro from Ethiopia. Just I have another question, but I'm suggest you. It is what a nice and wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. How can I get both as a PowerPoint or such like, or LinkedIn or social media platform for the team? To my question or suggestion. Thank you so much.
Okay, we would be sharing his social media handles, so the main group, I guess, on the WhatsApp platform. So that won't be an issue. Plus, you can also look for his name on LinkedIn, social media. You can also search through his name, actually. So, Winifred, do you have a question? No, if it is yes. If you want to give a feedback, do you want to give a feedback? Feedback, okay. So, yes, you can unmute yourself now. Okay, our facilitator is back. Okay, he's back. Welcome, welcome back, sir. I'm trying to look for you so that I can unmute you. It keeps moving. Okay. So you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, so please, where are the questions? I'd like to take the questions very quickly.
Okay, so the first question here is, how do we seek grants for SDG 11 since we may not have the requisite experience in the supposed field? Should we want to seek funds to sponsor our ideas to achieve the goals of our SDG 11? That question is not really quite clear, but that's it.
Okay, so SDG 11 is sustainable cities and communities, right? So essentially, if you live in a community, if you live somewhere in a place, right, I think you can make a case for yourself as a citizen of that community, right? And figure out a way to link what you do to the problem in the community that you want to solve. Because if, for example, let's say someone like me, I grew up in Ibadan, I was born in Ibadan, grew up in Ibadan, right? I can always talk about my community. So maybe the problem I want to solve is poor waste management or indiscriminate disposal of refuse, right? The fact that I grew up in this community, in this city, I was born in this city and all of that, gives me experience, right? I don't need any qualification or anything like that to talk about the problem. However, it would make more sense if maybe, for example, I team up with, say, somebody else who has maybe a degree in environmental studies or has some form of certification, right? That helps. So sometimes if you don't have the direct experience, you can team up. That's something you can always do. You can always team up. So not a big deal. That's the way around it.
Okay, so the first question before you left was, I'm just going to paraphrase it. The use of AI, ChatGPT, is it advised? And how, if we're supposed to use it, how do we make it undetectable? I think that was the main question. Or should we avoid it completely and just type everything word for word?
Sorry, come again. I missed that.
Okay, so the question was, would you advise change makers like ourselves to use ChatGPT to draft the answers to questions, grant questions or proposal questions? And if we can, is there a way we can make it undetectable, or should we just avoid ChatGPT completely?
Well, yes. I mean, I think it's very difficult for you to use ChatGPT to write grant proposals if you are not already extremely good at writing grant proposals, right? Because ChatGPT hallucinates, right? These chatbots, ChatGPT bar, they hallucinate, meaning that they spit out incorrect answers, right? But if you're not a very good writer, right, you would not know when they're giving you nonsense, right? So it's very easy for a reviewer to spot someone who used ChatGPT versus someone who didn't use ChatGPT, right? So I think the people who can make the most use of ChatGPT are people who are already extremely good at grant proposal writing. But if you don't know the basics and you're trying to use ChatGPT, it's going to end in that break. So if you're just learning grant learning the ropes, I would advise that you avoid it totally, right? Just ignore it.
All right. Okay, so the next question here is, we're moving really fast. My question is, how can funds be provided to beginners? I feel like this person is speaking to the fact that maybe they've not had any executed projects at all. So is it possible, and how can it be done?
So that's the starting point now. You go and do something, right? Go and do something, even if it's very, very small, right? Like it's something called a pilot. Just go and start something. Even if it's very, very small, do something. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're passionate about education, right? What if you mobilize funds and you're able to fund maybe like the school fees of maybe 4 students in public school? That's very small, but it's something, right? You can say, oh, I don't have money for that. What about organizing cleanups, right? If you're passionate about the environment, you and some friends can team up, organize a cleanup, go to a community, clean the whole place up. How much money do you need to do that, right? You need to be able to show that you've done something, right? Nobody wants to back someone who just has ideas. Ideas are cheap, right? Action is gold. Next.
Yes. Okay. All right. The little thing I would like to add to that is to also document that little thing you did and make it look like, it's massive, right? So you have to take pictures, take videos, and bring your friends along. You can name them volunteers in your grant proposal. Bring your best friends. Tell them to just follow you. They're already volunteers. You work together. You know, you don't need that big money in quotes, right? Okay, so the next question is from Adiza. She said, what kind of discipline or professional is relevant to SDG 1, no poverty? Should I only seek grants in SDG 13 because I read environmental engineering and management?
No, it's about so your experience must match the problem that you're trying to solve. It's as simple as that. Your experience must match the problem you're trying to solve. Now, sometimes when you're applying for a grant, it can span multiple SDGs. So I don't want us to box ourselves into box of SDG 1, SDG 2, right? Now, it's a good thing to focus and say, oh, I'm focused on SDG 1. But by the time you start working on SDG 1, you probably find out that SDG 1 is linked to SDG 2 and linked to SDG 3, right? So don't box yourself too much, right? You can work on 2 or 3 SDGs simultaneously. I think the problem is trying to work on all SDGs at the same time. So just work on projects that have, a correlation with your expertise, That's it. Don't be too bothered about, oh, is it just SDG 1? It's fine if you're working across 2 or 3 SDGs.
Okay, so the next question, in writing my proposal, should I focus on my local government or should I focus on the state level, seeing that the problem which my proposal wants to address is a state problem?
Sorry, come again.
Okay, in writing my proposal, should I focus on my local government or should I focus on the state level, seeing that the problem which my proposal wants to address is a state problem?
I mean, if you're applying for $100 million in grant funding, by all means, apply for the entire state, right? Of course, I'm joking, right? You are better off like narrowing down your proposal, tailoring it to a community, to a specific community, right? I mentioned it earlier, the World Bank with all their money, they don't solve all the problems in the world, right? So you are not World Bank, you're not the federal government of Nigeria, you don't have billions of dollars to spend, right? So you're better off like just focusing on a particular community, on a specific community. And even if you want to do something on a statewide basis, pick specific local governments and specific places and say, oh, in this local government, we're going to work with maybe 2 schools. We're going to work with 3 schools. Don't say, oh, we're going to like the entire states, all 33 local governments. Like, no, right? You don't have the funding for that. Nobody's going to give you the funding for that yet.
Okay, because of the limited time, I would advise the change makers here, some of the questions you're asking are right there on Google. You're asking for where you can get grant opportunities, proposal opportunities. Merely going to opportunity decks, going to Google to search for these things is very important, right? And Mr. Olubenga is having a session in September focusing on how to get the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program, teaching you how to do this so you can connect with him and then join there. And you can also send him questions to his DM. I'm sure he's open to addressing those questions. So please follow him and then he will take things from there. So thank you very much, sir, on behalf of ADEF Africa. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. This was a very interesting and informative session. And we're so glad to have you on board. You have empowered us. And this is part of the things we're talking about. That you so much, sir. All right. So moving on, I'm very sure that our project director has gone through most of the information we need for the continuation of the program. Please make sure that you have chosen the leaders of your groups before the end of today. It is very, very vital. So thank you very much for joining today's call. I look forward to seeing you next week, Saturday, during our next session. And that will be the end of today's session with everyone. Thank you so much for joining in and see you next week. Bye.